Selling in the billions each year, Rainbow Mealworms is your one-stop shop for all your insect needs. Their quality feeders and A-plus customer service keep me coming back to support the health and growth of all of our animals. Visit them today at rainbowmealworms.net to place your order. I want to take this time to shout out Redline Shipping. They are the #1 fastest growing reptile and animal shipping company in the world right now, and that is for good reason. Use promo code GECKO5 today at checkout for an additional $5 off your shipping label. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of Reptile News Weekly. So the goal of this new segment on our channel is going to be to cover the news of the week, hot topics, debates, what's going on, things that you might want to be aware of. This could include, obviously U.S. ARC decisions and bills and things like that that we need to be aware of. But today's hot topic of the week is actually going to be a super exciting genetic discovery that was made by this company called Rare Inc. If you guys are not following, Rare Genetics Inc., I believe it's called. If you're not following RGI, what a cool name too. And they got a nice little logo with like the monitor lizard and the snake and the DNA. That's awesome. All right, guys, before we go any further, just know there was a mistake that I made on my end, and you are not going to be able to hear their audio, but I really go over it in detail a lot anyway, so I'm just going to cut those segments out. Normally, this weekly news will be completely live and unedited, but I had to do that because you can't hear them talk. So enjoy the video. If you know anything about me, you know that I've geeked over genetics for the longest time. It's part of the inspiration for our name, Geeky Gecko Genetics. As you see, these videos are going to be completely live. So you see Whitney there, our cat. It's just an opportunity for me to like quickly sit down and talk about a hot button issue or something. And last night, as I was laying my head down to rest, like I always do, I watched some videos on the way out. A lot of times it's reptile videos. Sometimes it's reptile tour videos because I could just kind of watch some reptiles and not get caught into the juicy content and needing to know information. But this thumbnail came across my homepage that said, "New genetic discovery with the desert ghost morph." And then I saw MJ is having Justin Kabelka talk about the desert ghost morph. So what is the desert ghost morph? It's a morph in ball pythons that up to this point was thought to be a simple recessive morph, meaning that you have one copy from mom, one copy from dad. It's only on one chromosome and one allele, and it's one genetic mutation. But they actually discovered that it's 2, 3, or even more genetic mutations that are contributing to the desert ghost. And it's really the first time that we're talking about this in the reptile hobby. And so it's super exciting. My Geeky Gecko meter was going wild and I was so tired last night, but I had to listen to the full episode. So I skipped ahead to the part of the episode where he starts to talk about the difference between Mendelian genetics, which are found at one peak location on the gecko's DNA, and polygenetic traits or mutations, which are found at multiple peaks on the animal's DNA. This is going to be the same for all animals, but specifically reptiles. So geckos or snakes in this instance, it's going to be the same. And we're going to talk about the implications that this could have for the leopard gecko hobby. So let us watch this out. So for you guys who aren't too deep in your genetic research or knowledge yet, what he's talking about is, so like take me, for example, I have black hair, brown eyes, I have a certain amount of facial hair and body structure. All of those are genetics that get passed down to you. When there's a difference in genetics, like let's say I have a kid that has blue eyes and they study my DNA versus his DNA, they're going to find a peak in certain locations of my kid's DNA that are different than my genetic code, meaning that there's a difference here, there's a difference here, there's a difference at this area of DNA or multiple areas of DNA. And reptile breeding, for the most part, unless you're in leopard gecko specifically, is a lot of polygenetic breeding. There's my cat right there. But in ball pythons, it's mostly Mendelian breeding, meaning that when an animal changes appearance, it's only happening at one peak. But this is really, really exciting. They're starting to be able to come up with tests to test different peaks, and what this could do for leopard geckos in the future would be amazing. Let's listen to him talk a little bit, and I'm going to fast forward to some general information parts that I can talk about as well. All right, so trying to think of how to explain this. So in your body, your DNA and what makes you is made up of different chromosomes, and inside of those chromosomes is your DNA code, right? So in most Mendelian, well, in all Mendelian genetics that we're aware of, it's happening on one chromosome. So you've probably heard the company like 23andMe, right? That means now I'm not too into the genetics on this level, so correct me if I'm wrong, but 23andMe is referring to the 23 chromosomes that human beings have. And maybe they have 24, I don't know. But just to give you an idea, human beings have different chromosomes that represent different traits that make you look and sometimes even think and act in different ways compared to other human beings based on your genetic history and influence. This is how dogs and everything like that have been groomed to being trained for human obedience and dominance, is through a lot of genetic breeding, and personality traits get passed down that way. You breed really nice dogs to each other and you train them in certain ways. We're seeing that with leopard geckos, right? Leopard geckos, for the most part, are so domesticated, they never drop their tail. I don't know if you've seen those wild leopard gecko videos that exist out there. Every single wild leopard gecko has a drop tail, but in captivity, 9.9 do not. So the point that he's starting to get at right now is going to be very, very important. You have two separate chromosomes that the genetic mutation needs to be a part of, both to express the desert ghost mutation. So he's about to say that you have DGA and DGB, location A and location B. You can't have two copies of the gene at location A and have a desert ghost. You cannot. And you can't have two copies of the gene at location B and have a desert ghost. You cannot. You need at least one location from A and one location from B. Those genetics will interact with each other and give you a desert ghost. Now, your odds are going to increase if you have two genetic desert ghost A's and two genetic desert ghost B's when you're breeding that animal. And towards the very end, he's going to talk about how if you take a DGA animal and breed it to another DG, we're talking visual expressing animals here. If you take a visual DG and pair it to another visual DG that's of the same A and A genetic location chromosome, you will not get DGs. You will only get het DGs. It's so interesting how this is going to change the way that we label and document our desert ghost projects, and I'm sure this is going to start to happen with many more projects. There you go. You have to have a mutation at both locations. So obviously there's many ways to, oh shoot, I don't know if I was showing that. I'm sorry if I completely did not show that. I'll have to review this video. Like I said, it's live, so I can't really edit it. But here's the different ways that he was saying that you could create a visual desert ghost. You have location, you have one gene on location A, one gene from location B. It needs to be at least 1 and 1. And then all the way at the bottom here, you have two genes at location A and two genes at location B. But it's important that A and B have to collide. You cannot create a desert ghost by breeding this two DGAs together. Wow, look at my mouse. It's tripping out there on the screen. The screen is like picking up 50 of them. It doesn't look like that for me, so that's interesting. Let me fast forward to the part where he's talking about a little further explanation on it. So I encourage you guys to watch this video. Go over to their YouTube video, watch the whole video. They also have other videos that are really, really key. But what he covers towards the end of this video right here is
In some animals, you're going to have a higher visual output of visual desert ghosts than in a normal het-to-het pairing, right? So let me use this example for a second. So here's DGA and here's DGB. You have two genetic locations, one from dad and mom at DGA, and you have two genetic locations, one from dad and mom at DGB. You need at least, you know, that finger game? I forget. I've played that finger game a couple times, but you need one genetic on each to express the desert ghost. But what if you have two over here from mom and dad only has one? Well, mom is automatically going to pass one down, automatically. And dad is going to have a 50% chance of passing one down. Because remember, he has a non-DG marker and a DG marker. So he could pass on either one. And so your odds, if mom has two copies of DGB and dad has one copy of DGA, mom is going to pass on DGB automatically. And dad is going to pass on DGA with a 50% chance. But what if they only had one each? Then it's 50% chance here and 50% chance here for you to actually hit the visual desert ghost that you're looking for. And that's a 1 out of 4 opportunity. So that's a 25% chance. But what they're seeing is in most Mendelian genetics, when you have a het to a het, there is a, what was he saying? I'm trying to remember what he was saying last night. When you have a het to a het, there's, this is the bad part about this being live. There's a 50%, when you have a het to a het, what am I thinking? Come on, get it together, Frank. Get it together, Frank. Het to het, and then obviously visual to het. Yeah, so basically what he was saying was in normal Mendelian calculations, we can use a Punnett square to easily calculate a relatively close percentage to expect based on what genetics each parent has. So if it's a het to het, you will produce 25% visuals, 50% hets, and 25% non-carriers. But in this case, since it's revolving around 4, if you want to think of it, normal Mendelian genetics are only revolving around 2 alleles, 2. But in this case, it's actually revolving around 4 different genetic locations, 2 from DGA and 2 from DGB. So they said that instead of experiencing a 50% success rate when you take a visual to a het, you actually experience a 70% success rate. And that's because some of the hets that are testing out are carrying 2 copies in genetic A, and they're passing it on more frequently compared to if they were only carrying 1 copy. So I don't know if that went way over your head, but we are talking about 4 alleles, 4 different possible genes combining instead of 2 possible genes combining in a normal recessive genetic situation. So anyway, I encourage you to watch this video. Check it out. Again, it is RGI, Rare Genetics Inc. What an awesome, awesome video. And that's the weekly news for today. So I'm going to be looking for topics, debates, interesting stuff to talk about. So please recommend them to me. If you got any topics that you want me to cover and get my live view and opinion on, pop it in the comments below. I'll do a little research on that topic, get some thoughts together, and drop a video. So until next time, my friends, stay safe, enjoy your reptiles, and have a geeky gecko great day. Peace. Oh, you know what? I didn't hold on. No peace. See? I like this. I don't get to do it live, but you get to see a little bit more of what happens when you're filming and why having a YouTube channel, it's so much editing and so much time that goes into it. I want to, as a leopard gecko breeder, Tang, you're it. You could get these from Luna Geckos at lunagecko.com, by the way. Tang, you're it. I cut the sleeves off because it's hot in Arizona in the summertime right now. I want to talk about the implications for what this can mean for leopard geckos. If and when leopard gecko testing starts coming into play, we do all polygenetic breeding for the most part. I mean, obviously there's albino and clips and all that kind of stuff. But so not only will we be able to identify if an animal has a genetic trait, like, you know how all those animals you're wondering about, is it het eclipse? Is it het cipher? Is it het tremper? You would be able to know what every animal would be het for. But not only that, if it goes this way from what they're doing here, you would be able to test for peak performances in the gecko's DNA. So let's talk about black knight for a second. What makes a black knight really black? Polygenetics, multiple peaks, multiple alleles, multiple genes and chromosomes that have genes that are aligning with black pigment. It's similar to what is it? I think I heard, and I think he mentioned this in the video. I think like eye color or skin color or something in humans, that's responsible at multiple locations on your DNA and chromosomes. It's not responsible at just one location. So black pigment or like orange pigment of tangerine geckos, if we start finding certain spikes in really good lines of black knights or tangerines, you can know that, hey, this spike is signifying these different areas of this gecko's DNA that is combining with other spikes to create extremely good looking or not so good looking animals. And we can extrapolate that data and potentially use it to combine animals that have the spikes that we know are going to create bomb animals. So anyway, that's a little bit of an implication of where this could potentially go. Genetics really excite me. It's part of the inspiration for our name, Geeky Gecko Creations. I just like to geek out over this stuff, and obviously creations and DNA and life and all that kind of stuff is awesome. So now, for real, have a great day. I'll see you in the next video. Leave me some comments below of topics that you want me to cover. Comment below, guys, and I'll see you next time. I was gonna say in Jesus' name, but I don't. That has nothing to do with this channel. I mean, it has to do with my heart, but not this channel specifically. So have a geeky gecko great day, y'all, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.